to me that you have to have the patience of someone, but not Job, in order to go through this book and deal with all of the conversations that go on there. Nevertheless, we have seen in chapter 17 that Job answers Eliphaz's second comments. Again, they become very hurtful and non-constructive when it comes to comforting and bringing compassion to Job. And he calls his friends scoffers, and this thing is elevating into a nasty conversation. And if it's not enough that Job has to endure a second conversation from Eliphaz, he now in chapter 18 has to deal with a second conversation with Bildad. Now, the reason you can remember Bildad is remember that Bildad is the second shortest person in the Bible because he's a Shuhite. Well, sorry, I couldn't resist. Bildad says, how long are you going to continue to just chatter away? Don't you understand that the reason people are seeing you as a beast or seeing you as stupid is because the fact that you yourself are wicked and your stride is shortened and your wickedness is bringing you down and your own feet trip you up in the net and terror frightens you. Now he gets very personal in verse 13, making it clear that he's saying that not only does he believe the wicked do those things, but he believes that Job is that wicked one that has brought that on himself, because he says in verse 13, your skin is devoured by disease. Remember the boils and the scrapings and the oozing of the pus and all of the nastiness of Job's situation. And in verse 19, he goes again and makes it very personal. And this is the kind that really gets to most of us. In verse 19, he says, and you have no offspring and no prosperity because of your wickedness. Well, you remember in the beginning of the story of Job that Job has lost his family through accident and nature's actions, and he's also lost all of his prosperity through raiders and through other methods. So we see that this is very definitely pointed directly at Job. I mean, this conversation from Bildad to Job certainly is not going to comfort or show sympathy and empathy with Job and his situation. And I want you to remember, as we apply this to our own lives and to learn from the book of Job as it applies to our lives, that although these three came with good intentions, and for 7 days and 7 nights showed those good intentions by just sitting with Job and trying to comfort him in that way, they have lost perspective. They've lost the objective that they had. And I think that can happen with church people. I think sometimes we write people off. We judge them and wind up making it very difficult to ever win them back to church because we condemn them in such a way that it's personal. It's a personal attack. It's not just that they've slipped into sin, but that we make a personal attack. And here, of course, we know that Job is not responsible for what's happened in his life, but rather God has given Satan permission to test him, to tempt him. And so what I would say to you that we need to do for application today is to remember that we as Christians need to be careful that we don't bury our wounded. Let me say that again for you. Not original to me. This is something I've heard for years. But many times Christians bury their wounded. And we do that by being so critical and so personal with our attacks on their sin that we give no room for them to ever repent and come back into fellowship. Sometimes we do that on a very short-term basis and say, unless you repent, you're going to be cast out of the church, or unless you repent, these problems are going to continue. But we need to remember that sometimes it takes time. Now, this is not the application for Job, obviously. He's not done anything wrong. But it is very important for us to remember that we need to keep perspective. And what is the perspective of the Great Commission? To make disciples. And you can't make disciples by personally attacking them and by driving them away from the things of God and the church. And so here's the last nail for this conversation that Bildad drives into Job. Surely are the dwellings of the wicked who don't know God. Now he's gone from saying that your kids died because of your wickedness, your possessions were taken away because of your wickedness, but because of the demonstration of your wickedness, it illustrates that you don't even know God. Now those are really personal attacks, and ones that will probably never be forgotten. They may be forgiven, but they'll never be forgotten. Let's measure our words. Let's think before we speak. Let's be careful about our tongue. We know how much damage it can do, and we need to be very, very careful that we don't condemn to a place where it makes it almost impossible for people to come back into fellowship with you and with your church. And that's my thought for the day. God bless you and have a great day.